The lies we tell with dying breath. The knife was buried 3 inches deep in Ethan's side when I found him, and the first words out of his beautiful, lying mouth were, "Please, Sarah. I need you. Only you can save me." But here's the thing about being cursed with the ability to hear someone's true thoughts. I knew exactly what was really going through his mind as blood pooled beneath him on the cold warehouse floor. She's here. Perfect. Now I just need her close enough to take what I need. My heart shattered into 1,000 pieces even as my legs carried me toward him against every screaming instinct. Because despite knowing he was using me, despite the betrayal that cut deeper than any blade ever could, I was still hopelessly, desperately in love with Ethan Cross, the man who had been sent to destroy me. 3 weeks earlier, my life had been perfectly ordinary. Well, as ordinary as it could be for someone who carried a secret that would make most people run screaming. I worked as a research assistant at Belmore University, my long dark hair always pulled back in a practical ponytail, my fair skin rarely seeing sunlight because I spent most of my time buried in ancient texts about neurological anomalies. My colleagues thought I was dedicated. The truth was, I was searching, desperately, obsessively, for answers about what had happened to me the night my mother died. The night I'd gained the ability to hear what people truly meant beneath their spoken words. It wasn't telepathy, not exactly. I couldn't read minds at will or hear passing thoughts. But whenever someone spoke to me, I heard 2 layers, their voice, and underneath it, like a whispered echo, the real intention behind their words. My mother's final gift, passed to me as she took her last breath, her hand pressed against my forehead as strange symbols glowed on her skin. "Find the others," she'd gasped, her true voice matching her spoken one for once in my life. "And trust no one from the collective." I still didn't know what the collective was. But I was about to find out. He walked into my life on a Tuesday, all sharp jaw and devastating smile, with eyes the color of storm clouds and a charm that made my carefully constructed walls feel paper thin. Ethan Cross, the new visiting professor in the Paranormal Studies department, a department most of the university pretended didn't exist. "You must be Seraphina Blake," he said, extending his hand. His voice was smooth, cultured, with just a hint of an accent I couldn't place. "I've heard you're the one to talk to about ancient neural phenomena." His true voice whispered beneath, "She's more beautiful than the file suggested. This might actually be enjoyable." I froze, my hand halfway to his. "A file? What file?" "That depends on who's asking," I said carefully, forcing myself to complete the handshake. His grip was warm, strong, and sent an entirely unwelcome spark up my arm. "And why?" He laughed, and even knowing something was wrong, I felt my stomach flip at the sound. "Suspicious. I like that. Good. Suspicious prey is more interesting to hunt." "Prey?" He'd called me prey. I should have run right then. I should have made excuses, walked away, reported him to someone, though who would believe me? Instead, I found myself saying, "Buy me coffee and explain yourself, Professor Cross. I have 30 minutes. His smile widened, and for just a moment, I saw something genuine flicker in those gray eyes. "Make it an hour, and I'll throw in a pastry." "What is it about her?" "Focus, Ethan. She's a target. Nothing more." But even his true voice sounded confused, conflicted. And that tiny crack in his certainty would be my undoing. Over the following days, Ethan became my shadow. He appeared in the library when I was researching, struck up conversations in the faculty lounge, somehow always managed to be walking the same direction I was heading after my evening classes. Any other woman might have found it romantic. I found it terrifying. Because with every interaction, I heard the war inside him. "Tell me about your research," he'd say, leaning close enough that I could smell his cologne, something woodsy and expensive. "What draws you to ancient neural phenomena?" Get her to talk about her abilities. Find out how much she knows about what she is. Family history, I answered truthfully, because lies were harder to maintain than partial truths. My mother was fascinated by the subject. She died when I was 17. For just a moment, his true voice went silent. Then, softer than before, "She knows loss. That wasn't in the file." "How did she?" "I'm sorry," he said, And here's what destroyed me, he meant it. His spoken words and true voice aligned perfectly for those two words. Genuine sympathy from a man who was supposed to be hunting me. It was a long time ago, I said, looking away because I couldn't bear the unexpected kindness in his eyes. What about you, Professor? What brings you to our humble university? The walls came back up instantly. Research opportunity too good to pass up. Asterisk if she only knew. The collective would give anything to get their hands on her. Including my freedom, asterisk. The collective. My mother's warning echoed through my mind. Must be quite an opportunity, I said carefully. You have no idea. He smiled, but this time I saw the exhaustion behind it, the weight of secrets he carried. Tell me, Seraphina, do you believe in abilities that science can't explain? Tell me what you are. Tell me so I can stop pretending. I believe, I said slowly, that science hasn't caught up to everything that exists. That doesn't make those things any less real. His eyes met mine, and something electric passed between us. That's either very wise or very dangerous. Maybe both. He laughed again, genuine this time, and I felt my heart twist because I was starting to understand something terrible. Ethan Cross wasn't just a threat. He was a prisoner himself, trapped by whoever this collective was, and every moment he spent with me was pulling him further into conflict. If you're feeling the tension building, hit that like button because this story is about to get complicated. The first kiss happened on accident, or at least, that's what we told ourselves. 2 weeks into his research, Ethan had somehow become a fixture in my life. We debated over coffee, argued about interpretations of ancient texts, and engaged in verbal sparring that left us both breathless and flushed. His wit was razor-sharp, designed to deflect and charm in equal measure. You're infuriating, you know that. I told him one evening as we walked across campus, autumn leaves crunching beneath our feet. You argue positions you don't even believe just to watch me get worked up. And you're adorable when you're worked up, he shot back, bumping his shoulder against mine. Asterisk I shouldn't notice the way the lamplight catches her hair. I shouldn't care that her laugh makes me forget why I'm here, asterisk. I am not adorable, I huffed. I'm formidable. Formidably adorable. I will push you into that fountain. I'd like to see you try, shortcake. Shortcake. I spun to face him, jabbing a finger into his chest. I am 5'6". That is perfectly average height. Average. He caught my hand, holding it against his heart, and suddenly all the playfulness drained from the moment. His eyes went dark, serious. There is nothing average about you, Seraphina Blake. Nothing. I'm falling for her. God help me, I'm falling for a woman I was sent to betray. And before I could respond, before I could think, he kissed me. It was soft at first, questioning, giving me every opportunity to pull away. But I'd spent 2 weeks drowning in the war between his words and his true voice, watching him fight against his own mission, and I was tired of pretending I didn't feel the pull between us. I kissed him back. He made a sound, half groan, half whisper of my name, and the kiss deepened. His hand slid into my hair as mine gripped his jacket, and for one perfect moment, both his voices went absolutely silent. When we finally broke apart, gasping, his forehead pressed to mine, I felt tears prick my eyes. Because I knew what he was. And he had no idea I knew. Sarah, he breathed. I need to tell you something. I can't do this anymore. I have to tell her the truth. My heart soared. Then his phone buzzed. He pulled back, glanced at the screen, and I watched his face go pale. I have to go, he said, all the warmth draining from his voice. I'm sorry. I'll explain later. And just like that, he was gone, leaving me standing alone beneath the lamplight with the ghost of his kiss on my lips and his true voice echoing in my mind, asterisk they're moving up the timeline. If I don't bring her in soon, they'll send someone else. Someone who won't hesitate to hurt her, asterisk. The cliffhanger that changed everything came 3 days later. Ethan had been avoiding me, or trying to. I caught glimpses of him across the library, felt his eyes on me during lectures, but every time I tried to approach, he found a reason to leave. His true voice was a constant torment, filled with self-loathing and desperate planning. I have to get her out. I have to warn her. But if I betray the collective, they'll kill us both. I was leaving my evening seminar when I felt it, that prickle at the back of my neck that told me I was being watched. But this time, it wasn't Ethan. 3 figures emerged from the shadows of the parking structure. 2 men, 1 woman, all dressed in dark clothing, all with the cold, empty eyes of people who had done terrible things and would do them again without hesitation. Seraphina Blake, the woman said. Her voice was pleasant, almost friendly. Her true voice made my blood run cold. Finally. The last of the walkers. Once we have her, we have them all. I'm sorry, do I know you? I asked, backing toward my car. Not yet. She smiled. But you will. We represent the collective. And we have so many questions about your mother. I ran. They were faster. One of the men caught me before I'd made it 10 feet, his hand clamping over my mouth, his arm crushing my ribs. The woman approached slowly, pulling something from her pocket, a syringe filled with glowing amber liquid. Don't worry, she said. This won't hurt much. And when you wake up, you'll understand why your mother was right to be afraid. The extraction serum. Once we inject her, she won't be able to hide what she is. I screamed against my captor's hand, thrashing wildly, but it was useless. The woman raised the syringe. And Ethan slammed into her from the side, sending them both crashing to the concrete. What happened next was chaos. Ethan fought like a man possessed, all deadly grace and brutal efficiency. I'd had no idea he could move like that, hit like that. Within seconds, one of the men was unconscious, the other nursing a broken arm, and the woman was backing away with fear replacing her cold confidence. Cross, she spat. You'll die for this. Probably, he agreed, positioning himself between her and me. But not today. And not by your hand. I chose her. God, I actually chose her. There's no going back now. She fled, dragging her injured companion with her, and suddenly it was just us, me shaking against my car, him bleeding from a gash on his cheek, and years of lies hanging between us. I can explain, he said. I know, I whispered. I've always known. His face went white. What? I hear it, Ethan. When people talk, I hear what they really mean. What they're really thinking. The tears came now, hot and relentless. I've known since the moment we met that you were sent to find me. I've known you were fighting yourself every step of the way. I've known, my voice broke, I've known you were falling for me even as you tried to hand me over to the monsters who killed my mother. The silence stretched between us, broken only by my ragged breathing and the distant sound of traffic. Then, very slowly, Ethan fell to his knees. Your mother, he said, his voice cracking. She was one of you. A walker. And when she wouldn't join the collective willingly, they killed her. And took her power. Passed it to me as she died. He looked up at me with devastated eyes. I didn't know. Sarah, I swear to you, I didn't know about your mother. They told me you were dangerous. That your kind, walkers, were threats that needed to be contained. I thought I was protecting people. I was their weapon. And I was too stupid to see it. And now? I asked. Now I know the truth. And I will spend the rest of my life making it right if you let me. Drop a comment below if you think Sarah should trust him. I need to know what you would do in this moment. The following weeks were an education in war. Ethan told me everything, how the collective had recruited him as a teenager, recognizing his potential, training him to be their perfect soldier. How they'd used his loyalty, his desire to protect innocent people, to turn him into a hunter of the very abilities they feared. They told me walkers were parasites, he said, his fingers tracing absent patterns on my palm as we sat in my apartment, every light blazing because neither of us could stand the dark anymore. That you fed on thoughts, drove people mad. I believed them because I needed to believe I was fighting for something good. And now. His eyes met mine. Now I know that walkers are guardians. Your ancestors kept the collective in check for centuries. That's why they're hunting you, not because you're dangerous, but because you're the only ones who can expose their lies. How do you know all this? Because I stole files before I ran. He pulled a worn USB drive from his pocket, including a list of other walkers they've been hunting. I stared at the small piece of plastic that represented salvation for my people and certain death for the men I loved if we were caught. Ethan. I told you I'd spend the rest of my life making it right. He pressed the drive into my hand. This is how it starts. But the collective wasn't finished with us. Marcus Kane arrived on a Thursday, and for the first time in my life, I felt genuine, bone-deep terror. He walked into the university like he owned it, tall, silver-haired, with the kind of commanding presence that made people naturally defer. He was introduced as a prominent donor interested in the paranormal studies department. I knew better the moment he opened his mouth. "Miss Blake," he said, taking my hand in a grip just short of painful. "I've heard such interesting things about your research. So this is the girl who corrupted my best asset. She doesn't look like much. Breaking her will be a pleasure." I forced my expression to remain neutral even as my stomach turned. I hope the interesting things were positive. They were intriguing. His smile didn't reach his eyes. "I understand you've become close with our visiting professor, Ethan Cross." "We're colleagues," I said carefully. "Of course. Though I should warn you, Ethan has a history of disappointing the people who trust him. It would be a shame if you became another casualty of his divided loyalties." His true voice added, "She knows something. I can see it in her eyes. We'll have to accelerate the plan." That night, I told Ethan about the encounter. His reaction confirmed my worst fears. "Marcus Kane isn't just a collective member," he said, his face pale. "He's one of the architects. They created the organization 2 centuries ago. If he's here personally, he's here for me. He's here to burn everything to the ground." Ethan gripped my shoulders, his eyes fierce. "Sarah, you need to run. I can buy you time, distract them. I'm not leaving you. You don't understand. Kane is the one who recruited me. He's the one who," Ethan's voice broke. "He killed my sister. Used her death to control me. Made me think her abilities drove her to suicide. I found out the truth in those files, Sarah. She was a walker. And he murdered her to ensure my loyalty." The revelation hit me like a physical blow. "Ethan. I can't let him take you too." Tears streamed down his face, and I realized I'd never seen him cry before. "I already lost her. I can't." I kissed him to stop the words, to pour all the love and fierce protectiveness I felt into something tangible. When we broke apart, I kept my forehead pressed to his. "We fight together," I said. "Or we don't fight at all. You're impossibly stubborn. And you're impossibly damaged. We make quite the pair." He laughed, watery and broken, but real. "I love you, you know. I've been trying not to, but I do. I love you." His true voice and his spoken words were perfectly aligned, and I felt something in my chest break open with the force of it. "I love you too," I whispered. "Now let's figure out how to destroy the people who've been hurting us both." The plan was reckless, probably suicidal, and absolutely our only chance. Ethan had connections in the collective, people who, like him, had begun to suspect the truth about their masters. A network of disillusioned agents, fed up with the lies, ready to expose everything if given the evidence. The USB drive was that evidence. But we needed to get it to the right people, and Kane was watching our every move. "There's a summit next week," Ethan explained, spreading maps and photos across my dining table. "Every major collective leader in one place. If we can infiltrate it, upload the files to their main servers, it'll broadcast to everyone simultaneously. They won't be able to contain the fallout." "And how exactly do we infiltrate a gathering of murderers who want us dead?" He grinned, that devastating smile that still made my heart skip despite everything. "That's the fun part. I'm still technically a member in good standing. Kane thinks I'm playing you, setting you up for capture. So we give him what he wants." "Exactly. We let him think he's won. And when he drops his guard, we tear his empire apart from the inside." Ethan pulled me close, pressing a kiss to my forehead. "Have I mentioned you're terrifying when you're scheming? You love it." I really do. For a moment, we just held each other, two damaged souls who had somehow found their way together through a maze of lies and pain. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't safe. But it was ours. Whatever happens, I said against his chest, I don't regret any of it. Not one moment. Neither do I, his true voice whispered. Not even the pain that led me to her. Which brings us back to the beginning, to the warehouse, the knife, and Ethan lying in a pool of his own blood. The summit had started perfectly. Ethan played his part flawlessly, leading me into the compound with my hands bound, pretending I was a captured prize. Cain had been ecstatic, praising Ethan for his return to the fold, completely blind to the hatred simmering beneath my love's calm exterior. But someone had talked. Someone had betrayed us. Just as Ethan accessed the main servers, Cain's guards burst in. The fight was brief and brutal, and by the end, Ethan was bleeding out on the concrete floor with a knife that one of the guards had driven into his side before he'd snapped the man's neck. "Please, Sarah," he gasped, reaching for me. "I need you. Only you can save me." And beneath his words, "She's here. Perfect. Now I just need her close enough to take what I need, " Confusion warred with agony as I dropped to my knees beside him. He was dying, the wound was too deep, too severe. And yet his true voice spoke of taking something from me. "Ethan," I whispered, cradling his face. "What do you mean?" His eyes fluttered open, and I saw pain there, but also desperate hope. "Walkers can heal. Your mother, she healed people by sharing their wounds. Taking the damage into yourself. I don't know how. You do." His hand covered mine, pressing it to his bleeding side. "It's instinct. It's in your blood. But Sarah." He coughed, blood speckling his lips, "It will hurt. And I didn't want to ask. I don't deserve." "Shut up," I said fiercely. "Shut up and tell me what to do. I love you. I love you. Don't let me take you from this world, *. I closed my eyes and reached for something inside myself I'd never known existed. And I found it, a warmth, a light, a power that had been sleeping since my mother's death, waiting for the moment I was ready. The pain hit me like a freight train. I felt the knife wound appear in my own side, felt my flesh tear, my blood flow. Ethan gasped beneath me, and when I opened my eyes, his wound was closing, healing, leaving nothing but a pink scar while my body burned with borrowed agony. "Sarah, no," he tried to push me away, but I held on. "I'm not dying," I gritted through clenched teeth. "Walkers can take wounds. But we can also heal faster than normal." Even as I spoke, I felt the pain beginning to recede, my body knitting itself back together with unnatural speed. My mother used to do this for me. Every childhood injury, every illness. She never told me it was powers. She said it was love. "It is," Ethan breathed, staring at me in wonder. "It's both." The healing took everything from me. By the time my wound closed, I was shaking, barely conscious. But Ethan was whole, and that was all that mattered. "We need to move," he said, helping me to my feet. "Cain will be sending more guards." The upload. He smiled grimly. Completed before everything went wrong. Right now, every collective member is learning the truth about their leaders. The organization is tearing itself apart. Then let's get out of here before the building collapses on us. He pressed a fierce kiss to my lips. "I really do love you. Prove it by getting us to safety." "Yes, ma'am." Cain found us at the exit. He stood alone, silver hair disheveled, eyes wild with fury. In his hand, he held a gun, pointed directly at my heart. "You've destroyed everything," he hissed. "Centuries of work. The greatest organization the world has ever known. For what? For love." He spat the word like a curse. Ethan shifted to shield me, but I stepped around him. This was my fight too. "You killed my mother," I said, my voice steady despite the fear coursing through me. "You killed his sister. How many others have died for your great organization? Sacrifices for the greater good. Whose good? Yours." I walked toward him, and I saw something shift in his eyes, fear. You hunt people like me because we see through your lies. Because we can expose what you really are. And what is that? Afraid. I stopped just out of arm's reach. You're terrified of anything you can't control. That's why you destroy it. Kane's finger tightened on the trigger. Clever girl. But cleverness won't stop a bullet. No, I agreed. But this will. I reached out with my power, not to heal this time, but to listen. To hear every lie Kane had ever told, every hidden truth beneath his manipulations, and I pushed them back at him. He screamed. Years of deception, of cruelty, of carefully constructed self-image, all of it shattered as he was forced to confront the monster he truly was. The gun fell from nerveless fingers. He crumpled to the ground, clutching his head. Ethan picked up the weapon, aimed it at Kane's temple. His finger trembled on the trigger. Don't, I said softly. He deserves it. He does. But you don't deserve to carry his death. I reached for Ethan's hand, lowering the gun. Let the evidence destroy him. Let the people he hurt decide his fate. Don't give him power over you anymore. For a long moment, Ethan stared at the broken man on the floor. Then, slowly, he clicked the safety on and handed the gun to me. You're a better person than I am, he said. I'm just more stubborn. Despite everything, the blood, the pain, the trembling aftermath of adrenaline, he laughed. And I knew we were going to be okay. 6 months later, the collective was a memory. The evidence Ethan had gathered sparked investigations across 3 continents. Dozens of leaders were arrested. The remaining members scattered, their network of lies exposed beyond any hope of recovery. But more importantly, walkers emerged from hiding for the first time in generations. My mother's people, my people, were finding each other, rebuilding connections that had been severed by fear and persecution. And Ethan stayed. I'd given him every opportunity to leave. He'd completed his redemption, paid for his sins, earned his freedom. But every morning, I woke to find him beside me, his true voice and spoken words saying exactly the same thing: I'm home. I'm finally home. You're staring again, he said one lazy Sunday morning, catching me watching him over my coffee. Just making sure you're real. He grinned, that devastating smile I'd fallen for despite every warning sign. Want me to prove it? That depends. What did you have in mind? I was thinking breakfast in bed. He pulled me close, nuzzling my neck. And then staying in bed for several more hours. Scandalous, Professor Cross. Only for you, Miss Blake. Always only for you. His true voice echoed beneath, *, marry me. One day, I'm going to ask, and I hope you'll say yes, *. I smiled against his lips, knowing that day was coming, knowing I'd say yes before he finished the question. I love you, I whispered. I love you too. And as always now, both his voices said it together. I love you too. Some people say you can't truly know another person, that everyone hides parts of themselves, that love requires accepting mystery. Maybe they're right for most people. But I know Ethan Cross down to his bones. I've heard every doubt, every fear, every hidden hope he's ever had. I know his darkness and his light, his shame and his courage. And he's given me that same gift, by choosing every single day to let his words and his heart say the same thing. That's what love is, I think. Not the absence of lies, but the choice to stop telling them. The decision to be vulnerable even when it terrifies you. The courage to say what you really mean. We're still imperfect. We still argue, still push each other's buttons, still drive each other crazy with our stubbornness. But beneath every word, I hear the truth. I choose you. I'll always choose you. And I choose him right back. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button and join our family. We share stories of impossible love and incredible courage every week. And if someone in your life needs to hear that love can triumph over lies, share this with them. Because everyone deserves to believe in second chances. Thank you for staying until the end. Until next time, remember, the truest voice isn't always the loudest. Sometimes it's the whisper beneath the words, waiting to be heard.